Five, four, three, two, one. The Blue Jackets have clinched the playoff spot.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Gentlemen, we are rolling. I kind of threw a little extra kind of thing in there this week. A little bit.
It's all about presentation, really.
Exactly, yeah. We're rolling, and we were talking some hockey, and I just want to say congratulations to my Columbus Blue Jackets. They got in way before anybody. We all figured it would be sweat and bullets time on Saturday, but it's done and over, nothing to worry about except trying to catch the Flyers at this point.
They can thank the New Jersey Devils and their inability to ever win in a shootout. The Devils were 0-11 in the shootout.
You could also thank the fact that apparently the Devils couldn't beat the goddamn Calgary Flames when they had to. So.
Well, that's what it was, too. I think the Devils lost to Buffalo and Calgary and everybody that they could down the stretch.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, not that the Devils really deserve to make the playoffs anyway. The Blue Jackets definitely deserve to make the playoffs over them.
Well, the 91 points they have right now, I got to think that's the most they've ever had in a season, isn't it?
Let me look up their
wow, this is cool. I'm getting NHL Game Center live by accident here on my computer.
Yeah, that happens.
I'm not going to say anything.
You'll get it for like 5 minutes and then it'll go away.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's Tampa Bay.
They'll show you, hey, look, here's NHL Game Center. Look how cool it is to watch a game out of your market. And here, you don't get to watch it anymore. Pay.
No! Mother.
Live hockey angst.
God!
On Basically a Sports Show.
Nice job, Tampa Bay.
What? What'd they do?
Oh, they gave up a goal and Philly went up 2-1.
No.
Was it?
You're in the playoffs.
I know, but was it Simmons that scored it? Yeah, I think so. Yep, right here. Oh, jeez.
I don't want to hear
pretty nice play. I'll give him credit for that.
Maple Leafs didn't make the playoffs, Mike?
I should be used to the Maple Leafs not making the playoffs at this point, but given that they took some positive steps this year and were pretty much in the playoffs for most of this year,
yeah,
I'm pissed. I am legitimately angry that they did not make the playoffs this year.
I feel bad for Mike, though, because the Maple Leafs, if you take away that ridiculous streak, what'd they lose, like 9 in a row?
9 in a row.
Yeah, you take that away, and they're sitting pretty. Well, of course, that's, duh, really?
Well, yeah, they were in a playoff spot for most of the season. But the weird thing is, too, for whatever reason this year, a lot of people are starting to try to put forth the advanced stats that all the hockey people are trying to create now.
So we're going to get sabermetrics in hockey now?
Well, it's not necessarily sabermetrics. It's these things.
But it's just as boring.
Well, what they're doing is they were saying that the Maple Leafs were playing at an unsustainable pace based on like certain numbers. They had a very high shooting percentage and a very low possession percentage and stuff like that.
Okay.
So basically, I don't know exactly how it was calculated. I'm still trying to research all this crap myself to figure out what these stats mean and how to use them. But
okay, let's
basically what the stats were saying that the Maple Leafs were playing at an unsustainable level and the other shoe was going to drop, and then they lost 9 in a row.
But even though let's assume for a second that all of that is true, it's still a statistical aberration for them to drop 9 straight just to get back to where they were supposed to be.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
right.
But
and then it was just a bad combination of them going in the tank and Detroit minus Datsuk and Zetterberg for an entire 2 months, go on a 9-2-4 tear.
Yeah,
because
they've got
a playoff spot.
They've got Grover Lindquist or whatever his name is, Nyquist.
Gustav.
I like Grover better. Isn't Grover better? Grover Nyquist, come on.
Grover Nyquist and quadruple Jesus.
Ladies and gentlemen, the St. Louis Cardinals of the NHL.
The Red Wings cardinaled so hard this year, it's ungoddamn believable.
I don't even know if the Cardinals have cardinaled this hard.
Is it so much to ask for the Red Wings to just goddamn die one season?
I looked it up because I wanted to know the exact date that they last missed the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
So they've made the playoffs for 23 consecutive seasons.
Mm-hmm.
The last time they missed the playoffs, April 6th, 1990, I was just under 2 months old. The last time the Red Wings missed the playoffs.
April 6th, 1990. So I would have been 80, 88, 89. I would have been 2. I would have been 2.
I was just under 2 months old.
My girlfriend...
And I was a hockey fan, I guess you want to say, when the Ducks came around in 93.
My girlfriend was 17 years...
I've known a world in which the Red Wings have made the playoffs.
See, I have. I have known them to be the Buffalo Sabres of the NHL or the Edmonton Oilers.
I've heard of this mythical time of legend, but I'm convinced that it's just stories.
It's like someone trying to tell you that the Kansas City Royals once won the World Series, and you're like, what are you talking about? That can't be possible.
Okay, so I'm looking at this infograph here, and, before the show started, we touched on the last bottom part, which, had some inaccuracies, but everything else is pretty on par. So just to give you a time frame here, American presidents during Detroit's playoff streak: George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton's 2 terms, George W. Bush's 2 terms, Barack Obama's 2 terms.
Wow.
Canadian prime ministers during Detroit's playoff streak: Brian Mulroney, Kim Campbell, Jean Chrétien's 3 terms, Paul Martin,
3,
Stephen Harper's 3 terms.
You guys are dictators.
We don't have terms. And here's the funny thing: if a prime minister wins a majority government, he pretty much is a legal dictator because no one can stop him doing anything, except in theory the Queen. So.
And she's not going to do anything, right?
Those Canadians are getting a little uppity. We must put them down.
So Red Wings captains during the streak, they've had 3. Steve Yzerman from 86 to 2006.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Nicholas Lindstrom from 06 to 2012. And Zetterberg since then. There have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Hall of Famers from the Red Wings during the streak.
Not from the Hall of Famers that played on the Red Wings.
That played on the Red Wings, yes. Yeah. Billboard #1 single when the streak began, "Coming Out of the Dark" by Gloria Estefan.
I don't think I've heard that song once.
The #1 spot clinched during year 22 of the playoffs this year, "Happy" by Pharrell Williams.
The next one is probably my favorite just because it makes me laugh at Detroit.
Yep.
The population of Detroit when the streak began in 1991 was 1,021,000. In 2013, 701,475.
320,000 people have left Detroit. And that's you think about it, that's really not that many over that amount of time. But it's still funny to look at.
Yeah.
Man games lost to injury.
This year,
406. And it's a franchise record, and they still made the playoffs. And we're going to exclude the teams that this doesn't apply to, but the Florida Panthers, Nashville Predators, Minnesota Wild, San Jose Sharks, Columbus Blue Jackets, Winnipeg Jets, Anaheim Ducks, Tampa Bay Lightning are all franchises that are actually younger than the playoff streak.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in fact, there are 2 Red Wings players who's dressed for Wednesday's game against Pittsburgh who are not alive when the streak began. Thomas Jericho and Riley Sheahan.
Yeah.
So,
it's been a long-ass time.
Yes.
It's what we want to say.
It's
a testament to the Detroit Red Wings and their consistency and
but just die.
Like, in other... If it was anybody other than the Red Wings, maybe I'd say, that's just impressive. To be that consistent, what a model organization. I just hate the Red Wings.
You know what, though? Truthfully, I think that no matter who it was or is, we would feel the same way.
So if the Columbus Blue
teams.
Jackets made the playoffs for 23 straight seasons,
you guys would get sick of it. I'd be fine with it, but you guys would get real tired of it.
We're done with the Blue Jacket dictatorship of the NHL.
Yeah, well, we both know that's not going to happen. So, but seriously, let's say it were the Bruins, or I was going to say the Red Sox.
Oh, if it was the Bruins, Boston. The Boston factor alone would make it terrible.
Or say the Rangers,
Boston
or
straw, guys.
The Rangers factor would be the New York factor.
How about the Avalanche? Of course, they haven't been around long enough, but well, actually, they have. But
well, yeah. I mean,
Okay,
they've been in Colorado.
if it was, say, like Chicago,
right? Okay, that's a good example.
because I don't think Chicago has the inherent dislike that, say,
I think it's still, though, it's just like the original 6 team thing. Like, if it was...
Oh, don't make this an original 6 thing, okay? Because the Maple Leafs are just floundering with...
If it was the Maple Leafs that made the playoffs for 23 years, I think I wouldn't like that, because Toronto fans, they already think that they're the center of all creation, at least when it comes to hockey.
Ouch.
God knows what would have happened if they'd won, if they'd made the playoffs.
Well, Hockey Hall of Fame is in town. Thank you very much.
Well, when's the last time that the actual Stanley Cup went in your arena?
The Hockey Hall of Fame comes back to Toronto every year, baby.
The
Stanley Cup comes back to Toronto every year.
When's the last time they engraved the words Toronto Maple Leaf?
Was it 1967?
67, yes.
Okay.
67, yeah.
Wasn't that the year of the Great Expansion?
Yeah. No,
it was the year just prior.
Since expansion. The Maple Leafs won when there were only 5 other teams to beat. They're an elite franchise in the NHL.
So every cup they've ever won has been when it was just 6 teams.
Yeah,
No,
play one round of the playoffs.
No, that's not true. That's not true, because a couple Maple Leafs Stanley Cups precede the original 6 era, when the winner of the NHL would play the winner of the Western League for the Stanley Cup. So,
yeah, okay.
So like,
but pucks were made out of leather back then.
I don't think they ever
made out of bone.
but yes, no. Not every Leafs Stanley Cup is from what we would consider the original 6 era.
Their jerseys were fur pelts. Anyway, is this a record? Is this the longest streak ever? I got to think Montreal had to be in there.
Actually, the St. Louis Blues, because I'm watching them right now, they actually hold the record. They made it for 25 straight years.
Well, you know what?
I never won anything.
Was there ever?
They got to the Stanley Cup Finals 4 years in a row back at the expansion, when somebody from the Western Conference had to make it.
Right. We won 10 games. We're going to the Stanley Cup Finals. Has there been? I mean, is that a recent streak, or is that?
Yeah. When did the Blues streak ended? God, I want to say like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was around then. It was during their latest dark period.
But how many cups did the Red Wings win? What, like 5, 6?
During the 23 years?
Yeah.
There's 97, and then 98, 2002, and then there was 2008. So 4.
4?
Yeah.
Oh, it seemed like there was more than that.
Well, but the thing was, they hardly ever lost in the first round either. They would.
Except for the Mighty Ducks did it.
Yeah, the Mighty Ducks beat him in the first round. I'm gonna look at. I think that might be the only time, actually.
I remember that because that was the year that Curtis Joseph left the Maple Leafs to go play for the Red Wings and win a cup, and then they end up losing to the Ducks in the first round.
Did Dominik Hasek play on one of the cup-winning teams?
Yeah,
the 2002 team. Yes.
Okay. God, he left it. He was. God, that was. Doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but I guess it was, huh?
Which, as much as I like to rag on the Carolina Hurricanes, I kind of wish they had won that cup final against Detroit, because Ernest Urbe was like the man. That was he was the goalie for Carolina at the time.
Yeah.
And he wore the same plain white pads his entire career.
Speaking of, go ahead.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
Oh, go for it, Mike.
So I'm just saying, so by the time that the Hurricanes played the Red Wings in the 2002 finals, his pads were just marked to hell, and I just thought it was so cool that he had one pair of pads his entire career. So I was kind of pulling for the Hurricanes to win that one, also because screw Detroit, but it didn't happen.
I looked it up. The Red Wings have only lost in the first of the 23 years they made the playoffs in a row. They've only lost in the first round 7 times.
That's like what, almost a third.
Yeah. Let's see. Back in '91, they lost to the Blues in the division semifinals, which is the first round. In '93, they lost to your Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round.
Hey, there you go.
That was the year Toronto should have made it to the Cup Finals against Montreal, but Gretzky's high stick went uncalled. That's okay.
For God's sakes. They lost to the Kings in 2001. They lost to the Mighty Ducks in 2003, and they lost to the Edmonton Oilers in 2006.
Oh, was that when the Oilers went on their improbable cup run?
That was that year, and they lost to the Predators in 2012.
Wow.
Oh, Nashville Predators.
How do you win a playoff series when there are no shootouts?
Pekka Rinne had a really hot run that year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was the year of the Kings and Coyotes Western Final.
Oh, that was a real.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just gonna say. I remember that year. That was the year when the Predators went on a pretty impressive run that season. And after that first round, like the Predators made it to the second round, and everyone was saying about how the Predators were by far the best team in the NHL, and then Phoenix bounced them.
Right. Well, God, looking back at that, the Predators beat the Red Wings, and the Coyotes beat the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
So it's just like two teams that play defensive, boring-ass trap systems beat two very exciting heritage franchises.
Yes, but that was also the year when Mike Smith got tapped and then acted like someone had shot him.
I was at that game.
You know, I'm going to go off on just a little bit of a tangent here, but just hearing about Mike Smith made me think of this. I, for the first time ever, saw the video of the Clint Malarchuk thing the other day.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that. Oh, my God. But anyway, I'd never seen it before that. But anyway, go ahead.
Mike Smith, gold medal Olympic.
Who played exactly as much hockey in the Olympics as I did.
Indeed.
Exactly as much. We both had the same amount of ice time in the 2014 Winter Games.
In fact, if you had gotten first row seats to the Olympics, you were closer to the ice than he was.
And if I had fallen on the ice during a game, I would have spent more time on the ice than he did. But we've been down this road before, so.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, though? The Blue Jackets kind of did everybody a favor by beating Phoenix the other night because now they're chasing Dallas again, but it's only 2 points.
It's only 2 points.
And they have a game in hand.
Yeah. And, game in hand. But Dallas and Phoenix play each other in the last game of the year.
Ooh.
So that'll probably determine who gets that spot.
Well, maybe. Phoenix is actually losing to Nashville right at this second, 1-0.
Oh, thank God. I know it's dark when I have to root for the Predators, but, you know.
And Phoenix also plays San Jose on Saturday.
Oh, I just wanted to bring it up that the San Jose Sharks have announced that for the upcoming playoffs, they will not be wearing their super fast advanced teal jerseys.
I don't know why they keep doing this. When you think the San Jose Sharks, well, I'm gonna ask Greg because Greg's not a hockey fan.
Yes, I am.
You're a hockey fan, but you're not.
You're new.
You're not. Yeah,
I'm not that new.
Well,
but go ahead, ask the question.
You just got Die Hard again.
Okay.
When you think of the San Jose Sharks, what color do you think of?
Teal.
For the last 5 years, the Sharks keep choosing to wear their black alternates in the playoffs.
Why?
I don't know.
Before
they kept using the excuse of there's no stripes and they're more comfortable and lighter and make us faster and some garbage like that.
Oh, please.
And then they end up getting bounced in the first round. And so now they make their teal jerseys the same design basically as the black jerseys, so that they're just as fast or aerodynamic or light or whatever the hell. But they keep going back to the black jersey for whatever stupid reason.
Even though I want to point out that last year's Stanley Cup Finals was between two teams who probably have the most stripes out of any other two teams.
Yeah,
it obviously ruined the viewing experience. It could have been the fastest Stanley Cup Final, but
Well, here's the thing: if I'm the San Jose Sharks with their playoff history, the last thing I do is keep wearing what I've been wearing every year.
Well, exactly.
If they could come up with powder blue jerseys or pink and powder blue, and they were allowed to wear those, I'd go with them because it's not like they've won a bunch of cups in those black jerseys.
Right. You think that the players are trying to go what makes them comfortable or makes them feel good? Why would wearing those jerseys make them feel good?
Well,
all it does is remind you of that one time when the Kings bounced you out of the first round.
Right. And I'm always of the opinion that when you're in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you should try to wear what makes you. Like, what's most representative of your team?
Exactly.
You should wear your look.
Right.
Yeah.
Their nickname, for God's sakes, is Team Teal.
I like
go out of their way to promote teal as much as possible.
I like the Jackets' third jerseys, but honestly, come playoff time, they need to be wearing the primaries. As simple as that. Right. I think everybody should.
Right.
Okay,
for the most part, the alternates are like a good break during the regular season.
Yeah.
But when you're in the playoffs, you want to look how you should look.
So
I can tell you exactly why they wear black, Lou. I know the reason.
Okay.
So it's been happening for around 5 years or so. The season before that, the Sharks made the playoffs and they wore teal. And Don Cherry, on an episode of Coach's Corner,
oh boy,
went off on them, saying, "How could you be wearing such a fruity color like teal? I know they have black jerseys. They should wear that. It looks tough." And then the next season, they wore black in the playoffs. They've been doing it ever since. So I'm convinced that someone saw that rant from Don Cherry and was like, "Oh, you know what? He's right."
Well, you know what? If that's the case, I mean, we're going to pretend for a second like that actually happened. If they're worried about it, then wear the black, make that your full-time look and get rid of the team teal thing and all that. And, but I don't know. It doesn't matter what they wear. They're not going to make it to the finals anyway, so who cares?
Well, yes. I mean, they could lose to the Kings in the first round because it's guaranteed that they're playing the Kings. There's no moving out of that. And then, of course, in the second round, they'd have to play your Anaheim Ducks.
But here's my point: they could end up having to, if their road to the Cup involved Winnipeg, Calgary, and Edmonton, they'd still lose because they're the Sharks. There's a guy that used to work with me that was from what's the town Stanford's in Palo Alto, big Sharks fan, right? And all he did was, man, this is going to be the year, and then they would lose, and that poor bastard, because he's a really great guy. But
I mean, what else are they supposed to think? I mean, every year you got to be like, it's got to happen sometime, right?
And here's the thing: it
doesn't. Take it from a Cleveland Browns fan. No, it doesn't.
There is no light at the end of the tunnel.
There is no light. When you think that it's got to happen sometime, believe me, it doesn't. It doesn't have to happen ever. But anyway.
I just enjoy that.
And there's your NFL preview.
And oh my God, it was so funny because last night at the Ducks Sharks game, during every game since the 20th anniversary, during one of the commercial breaks, they'll play a 20th anniversary special moment from the 20 years of Ducks hockey. Mm-hmm. And so they've been saving this one, I guess, to the end of the season. And of course, the first game that they decided to display this one is against the Sharks. Is when we win the Stanley Cup against the only team that in California that hasn't won the Cup. So I just sat there and I look around and I see the Shark fan that's sitting nearest next to me, or not next to me, but nearest to me. And I was gonna look over and I was like, I don't know, I don't want to be inside that guy's head. Just so sad.
It's a good thing.
Oh, and Sharks fans continue to represent themselves so well.
Tell me.
Oh, man.
Did ICS kill someone? Because I think that's bound to happen sooner or later.
By the way, just because I saw this when I was looking up some stats before the game the other day.
Okay.
If you go to the Sharks website, you know how on most of the teams' websites it says, official website of the Anaheim Ducks, Columbus Blue Jackets, whoever. Mm-hmm. What the Sharks website says, it says official site of, and then in big, tall, bold letters, the NHL's best fans.
Oh. I must see this for myself.
Go to sharks.nhl.com.
Official home of the NHL's best fans. Really?
Yeah.
You know what? No. No. No.
Mike, it's something that you've got to understand here, okay? It's not the original 6. It's the original 7. It was just a matter of time catching up so San Jose could finally join the league, but it's the original 7. There was always a theoretical spot for the Sharks for when they finally showed up.
I mean,
they were always just there in spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, people forget how rabid the Golden Seals fans were. I mean, they were heartbroken when they had to move to Cleveland.
Well, I was going to say, and fortunately for that franchise, the Barons fans were every bit as rabid as the Seals fans were. So, yeah the best fans.
NHL best. Go.
Well, that's what you got to hang your hat on. That's all you got.
And I'm not even making a case for Toronto, although obviously Canadian hockey fans, very knowledgeable, whatever. I don't want to get into that. I'm not even saying for Toronto, though. You're telling me that Sharks fans are better fans than fans in Montreal? You're telling me that Montreal Canadiens fans don't live up to Sharks fans? Give me a goddamn break.
Well, I would say, Montreal, Chicago fans, I'm sure, are pretty passionate, as we've seen. Boston.
Ranger.
Boston. Having myself been to the Shark Tank and to Montreal, I can say without a single doubt that Montreal has better fans than the Sharks.
But
I
Zach,
can,
God,
Sharks.
I have it under
Sharks
good
fans,
authority.
Sharks fans are the fucking worst. Like I hate Kings fans. I hate them because they're probably one of the nastiest
Kings
fans. Huh? Well, yeah, but there's just a different attitude about Sharks fans that makes them a particular kind of like, I want to strangle you.
Well, see, that's the thing. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so I'm on the Sharks website because I had to see this for myself.
Oh, sure.
And it's there. But you know how one of the stories along the bottom, they're talking about they're talking about duck defeat. Apparently they beat. Oh wait, okay, no, never mind. I read that wrong. I thought that they were. I thought they were celebrating some victory against the Ducks. I was going to use
that they were defeated by the Ducks.
Oh, I was trying. Oh, okay, never mind. I misread. So sorry. Go ahead.
As the Ducks clinched their back-to-back Pacific Division championship last night.
Are you going to get another banner?
Yeah, we're gonna get a Pacific Division banner.
Well, there you go. See, you don't have the President's Trophy banner. You're getting another banner.
I mean, in theory, we could still win the President's Trophy, but I don't think Boston's going to lose to Winnipeg or New Jersey.
Oh, you're what? Let's see. You're 2 points back.
Yeah, we could, but eh.
Watch Winnipeg go on the tear and just like absolutely dismantle them.
Well, the thing is, Boston has outside of the President's Trophy, they have everything that they need locked up. Mm-hmm. So they're going to probably be resting a lot of guys. I mean, I think they rested Iginla and Krejci last night. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, but
I have it under good authority.
But you know what? What we're gonna do with this banner is probably the same thing that we did with the division championship from last year. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like that they did this. I mean, we won the banner, but there was no banner raising ceremony when the preseason
showed up.
Yeah, when people showed up, it wasn't even there. It wasn't even during the preseason. It was during the Kings and Ducks every year. They host. They have like a little rookie challenge where they play our rookies versus their rookies, home and away. And we had our rookie game in the pond, and everyone showed up, and the banner was just hanging up there already. They're like, "Oh yeah, banner, it's there."
Well, do you want to make I mean, when you've got a Stanley Cup banner, do you really want to make a big deal out of a division championship banner?
I don't think you need to make a huge deal out of it. Just be like, "You're Pacific Division champions."
Yeah, I guess.
Banner and be done with it.
That'd be kind of, I mean, like, for a home opener, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
You don't need like a speech and a video tribute. You just like, "Here, guys, banner." And it's like celebrate that you won something.
But I can understand why they didn't do it because I have it under the authority of a Sharks fan that the Anaheim fans probably wouldn't have appreciated the banner raising all that much.
Well, I mean, the Sharks when I went to the Shark Tank and I saw that they were the Western Conference regular season champions one year, my knees shook in just pure fear.
I know what I was going to say. You were talking about their fans. I mean, this was back in my dark time with hockey. Their fans are such that even when I wasn't following hockey, they were still annoying. That's how bad they are.
This is coming from you in Ohio.
Right, I agree. There's just something about them. They just radiate douchebag or something. I don't know.
But no, Greg's right, though. I mean, back during the original six, during, the heyday of Rocket Richard and Gordie Howe,
Eddie Shore.
We all knew.
Hockey, like Eddie Shore.
I think we all knew back during that era. We all know that the Sharks were there in spirit.
Yeah.
And we all know that, they probably would have won a Stanley Cup against that Canadiens team that won 5 in a row. Obviously, if they had come up against the Sharks, then it would have been over.
I just want to bring up one more thing about the Red Wings in the playoffs. Every team, okay, with the exception of the Coyotes, all right, but anyway, every team that's in a playoff spot right now, their differential is on the plus side, except for Detroit, who's minus 10.
Goal differential?
I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm sure it means something, but it means they gave up more goals than they scored. But
the Red Wings have made a good feast off the loser point this year.
Let's see.
Cardinal and hard.
I guess.
Because, I mean, the Blue Jackets have 4 more wins than they do, don't they?
Let's see here.
At least they did the last
one. They've got 42 wins opposed to Detroit's 38. But you go to the overtime, the loser point, and Detroit has 15, Columbus has 7.
Right, and that's it. That's it right there. If those were ties or instead.
Yeah.
Well, if they were ties, they'd still be points, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. But one way or the other, it is what it is. But here's my question to you then, Greg. Because looking at it, since the Blue Jackets hold the tiebreaker over the Red Wings, if they were to finish today, who would you rather play? Boston, Pittsburgh, and I guess the Rangers are in there, but for the time being, Boston or Pittsburgh.
Oh, God.
Because I'd assume you'd rather play the Rangers out of the three.
Yes, absolutely.
But would you rather get steamrolled by Boston or have your building 3/4 of the way full with Pittsburgh fans?
Well, see, here's the thing, okay? The Pittsburgh fans, I haven't been with the Jackets long enough for them to really annoy me like they do, say, someone like McCarthy.
Oh, if you play them in the first round, you will get your fair share of Pittsburgh fans.
Right.
I will guarantee you.
But this is the thing. I mean,
terrible towels. Terrible towels.
It's an awful choice to make because it's, okay, do I want to deal with Boston or do I want to put up with Pittsburgh fans?
Do you want to put up with the terrible towel, or do you want to put up with Boston Strong?
Right, exactly. Can't we get Tampa Bay somehow? I mean, they should just, I don't know. Of the two, God, I don't want to play either one of them. I mean, let's be honest about it. But
right.
I don't know. My gut, and this is just my gut feeling, says that they have a better chance against Boston than they do against Pittsburgh. I don't know why.
I'll tell you why. I know why.
Okay.
Because Boston's probably going to win the President's Trophy, and if you win the President's Trophy 9 times out of 10, you're going to bow out of the playoffs.
I haven't seen the Bruins really at all this year, so I mean, I know they're obviously good. They've got 114 points, but yeah. I don't know. There's something about the Penguins. Like when I watched, they played like a week and a half ago. And the Blue Jackets skated with them pretty well all night, but all of a sudden, the Penguins just bam, 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 and it was like, God, where did that come from and how did it happen? And that's what worries me about them.
This podcast I listened to, they tried to argue that for the betterment of hockey, quote unquote, the better matchup for capital H hockey would be Detroit playing Boston for an original six matchup, and then Detroit playing or Columbus playing Pittsburgh for the local rivalry matchup.
Yeah.
And as much as I could see that, it's just I've seen. I mean, it's on TV, so I guess I don't know the actual gauge of it. But the amount of Penguins fans that go to Columbus for these games,
a lot,
is a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
And while it'd be fun to have the warring chants or whatever, being a fan of a team where the East Coast teams come in and fill your building, it's not fun.
No,
it's not a fun environment. No, it's not a battle war type environment. It's annoying. It just makes you angry. It doesn't make you into the game anymore. It just pisses you off.
And not only that, but they've been at it a lot longer than we have. So I will be the first to admit that for the most part, now granted, if it's a Pittsburgh team, they're going to be front runners galore.
Right.
But I would say for the most part that the hardcore Penguins fan is more knowledgeable than the hardcore Blue Jackets fan, just because they've just been at it longer. It would be my guess.
But the bandwagon is also stronger with Pittsburgh.
Yeah. But to me, if you want the matchup that's best for hockey, it would be the Blue Jackets and Rangers because it would be the most competitive, would be my guess. But
yeah, and then
could you imagine?
And then if that happened, you could have Philly, Pittsburgh again, and then Detroit, Boston. That's probably better now that I think about it, because I don't think they gave Philly like falling down at all. And let's see, what's the score there?
Philly's up 2-1.
Tampa's up 2-1.
Are they?
Yeah, Tampa's up 2-1.
Oh, good. Well, what was I watching then?
I don't know.
Oh, Philly must have just gotten on the board. I heard the scoreboard wrong. But I will say this. The Blue Jackets are trying we're only going to sell tickets to people from Ohio thing.
Yeah, well,
that's not going to work, is it?
No.
That's the other problem. There's a lot of Pittsburgh fans that live in Ohio.
That, and I got to tell you something. If I got tickets and some Pittsburgh fan offered me $500 a piece for them, here you go. I mean, believe me, I'm a big time fan and all that, but I'm not stupid. I mean, it's just it's not going to work. It never works. So why even try it? I mean, it'd be great, but
I do think at the very least, I think Columbus will win at least a playoff game.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Instead of getting swept.
Which is the goal, I think, because they've only been to the playoffs once. They got swept, so if they get
if they can make it a competitive series, okay, good. That's probably the best you could.
That's progress.
And if you win a series, well, then at that point it's gravy.
Yeah.
Because the Blue Jackets are on a long-term path. They're not trying to win the Stanley Cup.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone, even the most delusional Blue Jackets fan, thinks they really could win the Stanley Cup. Because let's say that they miraculously get out of the Eastern Conference and actually make the finals. Oh, my God. I mean, the Ducks. I'd say the Blues.
Kings.
Blackhawks. Yeah, I mean, come on. No, I would love. Okay, wildest dream scenario, they win the first series. That'd be great. Okay,
but I'm going to argue in favor of why Blue Jackets fans should want a matchup against Pittsburgh.
Okay,
because yeah, you've got a lot of bandwagon Pittsburgh fans in Ohio. But think about this: what if you win? What if you beat the Penguins?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Right. If you win, it'd be great.
If you beat the Penguins, I guarantee you that the reward for that is going to be a lot less of those bandwagon Pittsburgh fans in Ohio.
Well, right, now it's kind of the argument like the people always want the Ducks and Kings to play, and I don't necessarily want to see that just because the downside of what happens if you lose. I mean, if you win, oh yeah, it's great. You have bragging rights forever, and you maybe gain some people to swing to your side. But it's just like the thought of dealing with it. I mean, probably more so for Columbus versus Pittsburgh in that sense, because I think the Ducks have enough of their own fans to where the Pittsburgh or the Kings bandwagon doesn't necessarily overwhelm the Ducks fans.
See, but
there's a lot of them there, but it's not in the same volume.
I'm curious to see though, because this, we've seen regular season. I'm curious to see how it would work in a playoff series, because you're going to, every team in every sport has bandwagon fans. Now that the Jackets are in the playoffs, people are going to come out of the woodwork wanting to be there to be part of the happening part of it, So I'll be curious to see. And
the other part with the regular season versus playoffs is you see the regular season schedule months in advance. You can plan for it,
right?
Whereas the playoffs, if you're going to go, you got to mobilize in like a week.
But that's the downside of being so close to Pittsburgh,
right?
And it's a straight across I-70, and you're there. The playoff, the early playoffs, is it 2-2, 2-1, or is it 2-3-2?
2-2-1-1-1.
Oh yeah, 2-2-1-1-1. That's what I meant.
The NHL doesn't do 2-3-2 in any round.
Oh, not even in the finals?
Nope.
Excellent. That's great. I hate the 2-3-2. It drives me. I don't like it.
Yeah, 2-3-2 makes no sense.
If you win one of the first two games as the road team, then you get 3 straight at home. Like that I've always thought that's an unfair advantage.
Now, I've always thought the NHL's mode for dealing with that was the best. It just made more sense, 2-2, and then alternate.
Really, the other sports only did that because they didn't want to fly back and forth across the country.
Yeah,
several times, and that was back when flying across the country was an ordeal.
Yeah,
now it's not so much anymore. But
well, I would just like to see them. I mean, ideally, like I said, the dream scenario is to win the series, whoever they play. Wow, this would be a great way to end the season, but say to lose in 6 or 7. And what I'm just hoping for realistically is they don't get swept. So that's where I'm at with it. A win would be awesome, but just to get a couple wins in the series would be a pretty good thing, because like you said, they're not looking at this as like this is our window and we got to take our shot now. It's just it's nice progress from last year, and just keep moving forward.
No, if things keep progressing the way they are, then I think Columbus's window is going to be open for a good while.
Okay. Well, before the Ducks decided to right the ship and play exactly like they know they could all season and win the division, they kind of went on a little bad stretch there. Through Twitter, when the team's on the road, I usually go on Twitter and kind of go back and forth with fans on Twitter to kind of react to the game as it's going along and stuff like that. So at one point during, I guess it was the game on – which game was this? I guess it was last Friday versus Nashville. Jonas Hiller started the game and led in –
Nashville? I'm sorry.
Yes, the hockey tonk in God, some of the most two annoying things a fan base can call themselves. Anyway, Jonas Hiller lets in 4 goals on 9 shots in the first period.
Ooh.
And so when he gets pulled out of the game, everyone cheers for the new goalie coming in because, you're not the guy that just let up 4 goals on 9 shots. And then late in the second period, the backup goalie, Frederick Anderson, took a Shea Weber slap shot right off the forehead. Ooh. And so he had some headaches, so he didn't come back to start the third period. So when it's announced that Jonas Hiller is going to start the third period, a lot of the fans were booing.
In Nashville?
No, this was in Anaheim.
Oh, okay.
And through the other 2 games during the week, the Ducks were down big to 2 bad teams. They managed to have these miraculous comebacks, but that's not the point. The point was, when the team was down, people were frustrated and angry. And, of course, what do frustrated and angry fans do? They boo.
Right.
So I got called out on Twitter by some of these fans for because some of these Pollyannas came out of the woodwork like, no, we can't boo them. It makes them feel bad. We're fans. We have to support them through the tough times. And so my response was, no, they're professional athletes. I have, with how well they've played this season, I've set a certain bar of expectation that I expect them to play at,
right?
And they aren't doing it. And so when fans are angry with the product, they boo. But they're like, no, we're the. I understand if that's like you're the away team, you want to boo the other team, but we're the home fans. We have to support them. And so what my question is to you is, like, because this was the response that they also gave, because I responded with, well, they already know this was one of their arguments. They already know they're doing poorly. Why do you want to boo them and make them feel worse? And so this was my thought back to them was, so when they do something good, like if they score a goal, they know that scoring a goal is a good thing. So should I not cheer when they score a goal? Or anyway, my problem is these Pollyannas, and there was a lot of them.
Yeah,
so you're breaking that term out, aren't you?
I love that term because I looked it up to make sure I was using it right, and I was. So I was happy. And so these people come out of the woodwork, and I know it's not just with Ducks fans. I've seen it in a lot of other fan bases. And I'm sure you guys have run into that where it's, you can't boo the team.
Bullshit.
So, yeah. Like, they're professional athletes. I pay your salary. If you're not doing a good job, I get to yell at you.
Well, you know what?
Right?
Oh, go ahead.
No, that's it.
I was just going to say, in the Blue Jackets game, was again when they gave up the tying goal with 22 seconds left. First time since I've become a fan of the team that I got mad at them and was like, oh my, and pissed off and would have booed had I been there.
Right.
So, and this is a young team that I don't think anyone expected them to be as good as they are this year. So, no, if they do something stupid, and like McCarthy said, they're horrible with you could make the empty net. Let's say that when the other team pulls their goalie, you could make their empty net, go all the way across the ice, and the Blue Jackets still won't be able to put the puck in it. So, yeah, you're allowed to boo when they do something poorly. That's just such a stupid argument. We have to support them. No, and believe me, I've been a Cleveland Browns fan long enough to know that, no, you don't. There's a lot of things that people believe about fandom that just aren't true. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen someday, and you get to boo them when they suck. Plain as that.
These are also the same people that think, well, obviously if we cheer really, really hard, they're going to win.
Yeah.
No. Let me tell you.
But if we boo, they're going to lose. You
as
can't
a Leafs fan, let me tell you that the cheering thing does not work. As far as booing, here in Leafs Nation, that ship sailed a long time ago. 2 seasons ago, when they had a craptastic year and, it was clear that they were not making the playoffs, in the final game of the season, all of the Air Canada Center started chanting, "Go, Jays, go!"
Ooh.
Yeah. So,
I will say this though. I think that there is a line though. Sometimes people can get too carried away with the booing, where if every little thing doesn't go the right way, they're all over the team. I think that's ridiculous, but it's also ridiculous to think, no, we must support them no matter what. If they're out there playing bad hockey or bad baseball or bad football, whatever, you should, you have every right to boo them. I don't care what anyone else thinks. It's
right.
It's silly.
And this was at the end of a week where at one point they were down 4-0 to the Winnipeg Jets. And they were down 3-0 to the Edmonton Oilers.
Exactly.
And then they got down 4-1 to the freaking Nashville Predators. And so at that point, it's just we're like, this is supposed to be a Stanley Cup champion contender.
Exactly.
This is the team that's supposed to be winning the division. And they almost, had they not turned it around over the weekend, and I mean, they ended up losing in Edmonton. If they hadn't won in Vancouver and then beat San Jose as they did last night, this team was being to be on their ass very quickly. And so I and a lot of fans were understandably frustrated and angry that the team was laying down at the end of the season, and we didn't want to see that. But all these people were, no, we're supposed to make them feel better.
Yeah.
Because that was going to change it. No, it's when fans go to the game, they're not it's not like a symbiotic relationship. Like some people think it is, and to an extent, yeah. If I assume like if the crowd is into it, as you as a player are probably going to be a little bit more into it. But you cheering or booing, you're there. Essentially, sports are entertainment.
Yeah.
And if you're not satisfied with what you're seeing, you boo.
Yeah.
Like if I go to a play or a movie and the movie sucks, like if I walk out of the play, does that make everyone feel really bad? But if I stayed all the way to the end, would that make them feel better towards the end of it?
I think
they did a good job.
I think that be it a play, movie, game, whatever, the people that are involved know when it sucks. So it's just so dumb. Like I said, you can take the booing thing too far in the other direction. That's certainly the case. I think you see it a lot in New York, probably Boston to the same extent, but Philadelphia, yeah. Where
I think Philly, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point for them.
Yeah.
You
People
don't
have
boo
told them
Santa
for how
Claus.
many years that you're terrible fans. They're the worst fans in all of sports. So they feel like they have a reputation to uphold or some crap.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you don't
You
boo
know?
Santa Claus. That crosses a line.
Yeah, well, they did.
So yeah, I saw it last week during the games, and I had long conversations with, and people were getting nasty to me about it. Like, and I was
Kind of defeats their whole argument, doesn't it?
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like one of the guys, like, oh, well, first off, one of the guy that I had the longest conversation with kicked off his response to me by saying that I was a bandwagoning twat, which my response to him was, I'm as far from a bandwagoning quote unquote twat as anyone could possibly be in the Ducks fan base. And then there was a long conversation that followed that was really nonsensical. I was trying to be calm and collected about it, but
Well, that's the thing. He sends you a thing and says, "Look, you stupid son of a bitch, you need to be nice." And it's kind of like, okay,
right. And my final thing I said to him was, no amounting, if the team doesn't change how they're playing, they're not going to go very far in the playoffs. No amount of cheering is going to change that.
Exactly.
And so then he responds in all capital letters, no amount of booing is going to change it either. Okay.
You've
Sorry.
got guys.
I'm going to go to the next game. I'm just going to sit in silence.
Well, yeah, because what's the point?
Right. Because at that point, what does it matter?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Though that's just a really, really dumb argument.
I mean, at the end of the day, professional athletes, if you're playing at the NHL level, if boos make you feel bad, then you're not mentally prepared to play at the pro level.
That was my other argument, and they didn't like that. They thought that I was being condescending.
We have
I was like, they're professional athletes. If they're sad because someone's booing them, then they have other issues to take care of. And they're like, no, it's not that. It's they make you feel good when you cheer for them.
Oh, for God's sakes! We have
Shut up.
all three of us have played organized sports, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Now, granted, none of us have. I mean, I'm assuming none of us have played in front of a crowd of 20,000 or anything like that.
No.
But we've all played in front of, like, say, high school crowds or whatever. I got to be honest with you. I can't remember in all the years I played. I can't remember anybody cheering or booing because I didn't pay any attention. It didn't register.
Well, and you know what? When I played, you know what always made me feel, or always made me angrier? It wasn't the booing. It was when I knew I did terrible, and someone would be like, "Oh, you did great." It's like, no, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Don't try to sit there and tell me that I didn't. And honestly, the few times that I ever did hear a boo, it made me angrier, and I want to play better so people wouldn't boo me anymore.
Right, because that's the thing. Like, if somebody got, like, if something like that came along and it pissed you off, you just wanted to beat them that much more. You know, I don't know. It's just people. Look, we've been on the boards long enough to know that for the most part, fans are idiots, and we see it every day. We deal with it every day. There's just so many extremes to it. You've got the people that if you do get a little bit invested in it, and you do say, and you get excited when your team wins, you get upset when they lose. Well, then you're taking it too seriously. And then you've got the other ones that say, like, these idiots are like, no, you must support them no matter what, and blah blah blah. It's like, we need to sit down and write a book and go, this is exactly how this is supposed to be. But
I support the team. I continue to go to all the games. I'll buy the jerseys and the T-shirts, and I'll be there all the time to be there for them. But if they're playing badly,
right,
that doesn't mean that I don't get to be pissed. And that was they kept saying, well, no, that doesn't mean that you can't be critical. Well, okay, so I'm supposed to give them constructive criticism?
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do in the middle of the game? Hey, Getzlaf, that was a bad play. Maybe you should do this next time, and you'll get the pass. Try that, okay?
You should
come
bring
on.
you should bring a big sign that you can draw plays up on.
No,
and be
but
like, hey, Perry, this is what you should try next time.
But how hysterical would a crowd sound if that's what everybody did? Instead of just, yeah, or boo, would be like, now wait, see, you shouldn't have swung at that pitch, and here's why. And I mean, if everybody was doing that, oh my God, it'd be the greatest thing ever.
Here, he's going to come with the curveball. Why did you swing at that? Here, hold on. Wait for your pitch, buddy, okay? Let's do it. Come on. Like, what? God. People are – they just like – I forget because sometimes we're insulated in our own bubble where we hang out with kind of the same people and talk to people at our same like level of comprehension.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you go on Twitter and you subject yourself to the masses and you realize how dumb people are.
Sometimes you get that on the board. On the boards, sometimes we've got a good solid group of people, but every now and then one of the plebeians will make his way on.
Right. We're not trying to say that we're some sort of like elite that we look down on everybody else.
We are. Well,
I mean, but to an extent, it's just like you're used to having the same level of conversation with someone. Like when we go to a place like the sports boards, we're huge sports fans and we live and die with it. We read all the stats every day. Everyone has kind of a base level knowledge of the sports and the teams and the stats and all that. And then you meet the general populace that don't care as much.
Yep.
And they make these wild accusations and crap based on nothing.
And the general population, like the unwashed masses of fandom, are why I hope to God we never get a Packers-like ownership situation in the NHL.
I don't think they have that anywhere.
But I mean, could you imagine like the smugness of Sharks fans if the Sharks are organized like the Packers and were technically owned by the community? Could you imagine the smugness emanating from that arena?
I don't know. I'm a Packers owner. I am a little bit smug about it. I'll admit it.
Do I have to remind you of the poster of the picture you posted to Andy when the?
Well, that was different. That was different because they were in his mind before that game even started. The Bears were down 21-0. Yeah. And I thought, as many times as I told him, like, dude, you just got to have fun with it. I thought, you know what? No. If you're going to be this way, I'm going to be exactly the way you expect me to be. So for that one day, I turned into total, like, Packers douchebag. And it was just... It was to prove a point, but I don't think anyone got the point but me. But anyway,
I thought it was hilarious. What, you were wearing like a Packers jacket?
I had my Packers starter jacket that I'd gotten for Christmas. I had my Packers hat. I think I pulled the stock certificate down off the wall and sat it on my lap. I had my helmet next to me the whole bit, and just put this picture up and just said "Sorry, Andy" or something like that. But yeah.
But yeah, no. I'm not saying that like Packers fans are smug. I'm saying that Sharks fans are smug. I'm saying that Sharks fans are as smug as they are right now would be even worse if they technically own the team.
Like, could you imagine a Packer type ownership of, say, the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
And you know what? I say this not as a Cleveland Browns fan, but just because it's fact. There is not a dumber fan base in pro sports than Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I'm sorry. And I would say that if I were a fan of the San Francisco 49ers, they are just stupid top to bottom. The exception...
You haven't met Dallas Cowboy fans?
They're not as bad.
Dallas Cowboy fans that don't live in Dallas.
There's a lot of Pittsburgh...
or Texas.
Yeah, or never been there even. Couldn't point out Texas on a map.
Are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Some Lakers fans out here, man.
Well, yeah. That just comes with the territory. But... I don't know. We could go on and on about this, but anyway.
So basically, fans are dumb.
Yeah,
and
there is an elite level of fans. We are part of it, and that's the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There you go.
No, but seriously, I mean,
I expect box seats wherever I go now.
It's funny because like I pay so much attention. Like we all pay so much attention to sports that we think that they're so much more important than other people do. Yeah. And then when we come into contact with other people, are like, oh, so Peyton Manning's not on the Colts anymore, is he, right? Like,
okay,
what?
Funny story. I got a funny story. My mom, who listens to the show, is going to kill me for saying this.
Uh-oh.
But, okay, now my mom, she is a fairly knowledgeable hockey fan. I mean, she grew up in Southern Ontario, so you can't really do that and not have a baseline understanding of hockey.
Right.
But This was years and years ago. I want to say late 90s, early 2000s. It was back when Dominik Hasek was still playing for the Buffalo Sabres. And keep in mind that Hasek, at this point in time, was synonymous with the Sabres. And they were playing the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round of the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure that one of our listeners could probably figure out what year it was just based on that information alone. I don't have that information handy, so I can't tell you the year. But we're watching this game, and Hasek makes a save. And the commentator goes, "Oh, and a save by Hasek." And my mom just looks at us, and she's got this confused look on her face, and she goes, "Hasek plays for Buffalo?"
Where is he supposed to play?
And I'm like, and I was a kid at the time, but even I was like, really?
Wow.
It's Dominik. And I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. Like she really is knowledgeable when it comes to hockey, but that was just one moment where, oh my God, yeah.
We just want to point out to Mike's mom, he brought all that up, and Zach and I just sat here quietly, so there you go.
No, you did not just sit here quietly.
Oh, sure we did, because I'm going to edit it to make it sound like we sat here quietly.
Just add crickets in after.
No, but I mean, I know what you mean. Because, like, my mom texted me the other day. She's like, Luongo doesn't play for Vancouver? I'm like, and at first I'm like, how do you not know that? And I'm like, well, I guess normal people wouldn't know that unless they paid attention.
I'm going.
Off, who's going to know anything about Vancouver or Florida?
I'm going to wrap up this segment with the greatest mom sports story ever. Okay.
Right.
My mom used to live in, I think it was one of the towns in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So they went to a lot of Rangers games. Okay. Don't remember the exact year, but it was Mike Witt of the Angels. I believe it was on the last day of the season.
Yes.
Pitched a perfect game. Okay.
Uh-huh.
At Texas. My mom, my brother, and my mom's husband were there. So she calls me, and I'm like, what do you guys have to? Well, we went to a baseball game on Sunday, and it was so boring. That guy for the Rangers, they never got a hit. They never got anything. It was the most boring baseball game I've ever seen.
Oh, my God.
So.
It's
you just witnessed one of the miracles of baseball.
Right.
It's so. I mean, that kind of reminds me of. I was looking at stuff on Facebook today, and a bunch of people that I know that don't normally go to hockey games were at the Duck Sharks game last night, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is fun." I'm like, "That was the Pacific Division Championship game." It was a good time. I'm like,
"It was fun."
Yeah, it was fun. I'm like, "Oh, they're fighting." Yeah, they're fighting.
That happens.
Anyway.
It is time to find out the results in the glorious tournament of victory, Egregious 8. Are we ready?
We're setting up the Final Four.
I just want to tell you guys that this was by far the most competitive round of the tournament. We had what I would consider a big upset.
Oh.
We had a couple of stunning comebacks, including one for the ages. And, we just got to roll right into it here. Where do you want to start?
I mean, I think we got to start at the top.
All right. So, obviously, we talked about this one in the Charlie Conway Memorial Region.
This was the one we all wanted. This was the matchup.
The matchup. Number 1, Walter White versus number 2, the goddamn Batman.
Based on what I saw on the boards, I was quite. I was quite surprised at how one way the boards decided it was.
Right.
I don't know what happened on the online portion, but. Give me the lowdown, Greg. Who comes out of my region?
Well, Mike, you have any thoughts on this one before I give up the score here?
I have to. It's tough. At the end of the day, I have to go with the goddamn Batman, if only because with all of the crap that he's seen in Gotham City, surely he's come across someone like Walter White before.
Well, all right. Zach brought up a good point. On the boards, very one-sided. All in favor of the goddamn Batman, but... It went the other way on the online poll. Now, here's the thing. We had 14 votes on the poll, okay?
Uh-huh.
All right. The final score on the online poll was Walter White 8, the goddamn Batman 6. Walter White had him beat until we went to the boards. And then the goddamn Batman put the pedal to the metal and ran away with it. 7 responses on the boards. The goddamn Batman took 6 of them. So final score, even though Walter White had the lead early, the Batman comes out, puts up an epic comeback, and wins 12-9 as your final score.
Wow.
The goddamn Batman, for the second year in a row, moves on to the Final Four.
Wow. I was just surprised at how much the boards got behind the goddamn Batman.
I was too.
I thought there might have been a little Batman fatigue. I thought that maybe people would swing towards Walter White's way. I thought that Walter White was a valuable or a valiant opponent. But it's something that Andy kind of brought up. I guess something like the goddamn Batman may just be too powerful for this tournament.
Yeah.
He may just have to graduate and move on to the big leagues.
I think at the end of the day, and I was shocked too, because I thought the boards would be... I thought the boards was solid Breaking Bad territory. But... the Batman...
There wasn't a single vote for Walter White.
There was one.
Was there one?
There was one. There were 7 board votes. It was 6-1 in Batman's favor.
I just thought that there would have been at least some that would at least swing Walter White's way. Like, I obviously the Batman is a great opponent.
I think I could tell. I think I could tell you where. I think I can tell you where in this matchup Batman took the advantage. He found Jesse Pinkman, and where are the drugs?
I don't know, man.
But yeah,
here's the thing: Pinkman doesn't have the constitution to stand up to Batman.
He couldn't be like, find him yourself, bitch.
Yeah, no, he couldn't. So once Batman got inside Pinkman's head, he had the inside track to take out Walter White.
Or maybe the Batman just did something. He's like, oh, that's detective shit, bitch.
Well, the thing is that all Walter White needed out of the 7 votes on the boards, he didn't even need half of them to win. He only needed 3, and he couldn't get it. He only got 1. So he goes down to defeat. Nice run for his first time in the tournament. I really thought, it was just a bad draw for him. I mean, you go up against the goddamn Batman, and you're in trouble no matter what. So that's it. Batman moves on again. Wow. Now, we're going to skip my region because this one was the epic match, I think, of all time in the glorious tournament of victory.
Final countdown.
We will move on to the Chubbs-Peterson Memorial region. Number 1 seed, Mother Russia against, and I don't have the seed in front of me, number 3 seed, Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability. This one, another one that was tied on the online poll. 7 votes each, tied straight up and down. Any comments before we move on to the final score?
I think Daniel Day-Lewis...
Go for it, Mike.
I was going to say, I think Daniel Day-Lewis goes to Mother Russia to try to study what Mother Russia is, but he loses himself and becomes consumed into it.
I don't know.
Well,
I just don't know. Like, if with how strong they got behind the Batman, I don't know where the board is going to swing, because you would think that there'd be like differences of opinion, but from what we've seen throughout the majority of the tournament, the board tends to kind of all go the same way.
It does. It's surprising.
There's not a whole lot of back and forth.
No, and that was the case in this matchup as well. But this one, surprisingly, and this I think is the upset probably of all time in the glorious tournament of victory. 7-7 tied going to the board vote. Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability, of 7 possible votes, got 6 of them.
Wow.
Number 1 seed out of the Chubbs-Peterson Memorial region falls to Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability, 13-8.
Much to Andy's delight.
Much to Andy's delight.
We can take Andy off suicide watch.
Yes. So Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability pulls off the impossible and beats Mother Russia and moves on to the Final Four to take on the winner of our next matchup, the Shark the Fonz Jump against the Invincible Iron Man. The Shark the Fonz Jump, number 16 seed. The Invincible Iron Man, are number 2 seed.
This is definitely interesting because there was a lot of the argument that Iron Man jumped the Shark. Now, it's also depending on how you want to determine, or how you want to say jumping the Shark wins. Does it mean that Iron Man physically jumped over said shark? Does it mean that the concept of Iron Man had jumped the shark and thus the shark wins?
I had argued that Iron Man, as a comic book character, laughs in the face of jumping the shark because, I mean, realistically, as long as comics have been around, comics
in general just kind of laugh at jumping the shark.
Yeah, comic book Iron Man himself, just Iron Man by himself, if you just look at his comic history, has jumped the shark like at least 4 times. So, you know, he laughs at the concept of jumping the shark. That was my argument, at least.
Well, I'll tell you,
in the comics for sure. But I think a lot of people held Iron Man 3 against Iron Man in this matchup.
And you know what? I don't blame them for that.
Neither do I.
well, here's the thing, okay? On the board vote, this was the closest of the matchups on the boards. Iron Man
4-3, wasn't it?
4-3. Iron Man takes the board vote 4-3, but the Shark Defons jumped. Won the online poll 9-5, making our final score 12-9. Number 16 seed, I believe, for the first time in the history of the Glorious Tournament of Victory, a number 16 seed moves on to the Final Four. The Shark Defons jumped. We'll take on Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability. Go ahead.
You might remember at the beginning of this tournament, one of these 3 panelists said that the Invincible Iron Man was going to take down the goddamn Batman, but here's the thing. He didn't even make it to the big dance.
You got to get there first, yep. This is what happens when you start thinking about the championship game when you still got games to play.
I am putting together an investigation. I am convinced someone slipped Tony a Mickey, knocked him off the wagon, and then he was just out there flailing drunkenly in his armor against the shark.
I think it was a case of overconfidence on Iron Man's part, and that's what hurt him. Mm-hmm. The Shark's got nothing to lose. It's a 16 seed coming in. I mean, once it made the Sweet 16, it was all gravy from there, and now the Shark moves on, and we'll take on Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability in that side of the bracket. Now,
that's going to be interesting.
We move on to what, like I said, this is probably the greatest match in the history of the Glorious Tournament of Victory. From the What It Means to Be a Cleveland Brown Region of Abject Despair. Is that right? Abject Despair?
Yes.
Okay.
It changes every week.
Yeah. Number 2 seed, the Polar Vortex, taking on number 13 seed from the Powerhouse Chimp Conference, Astronaut Chimp with a newspaper.
And we mentioned it last week, and it was interesting to see how people interpreted it. It depended on how you saw Astronaut Chimp. Was Astronaut Chimp a chimp that had gone to space and that was an astronaut but already came home? Or he was in space currently?
Well, that's the thing.
I argued that perhaps the cold weather of the polar vortex would delay the launch of the rocket that would send the chimp into space.
Some argue that he was in space and that the polar vortex would have no effect on him because he was in space.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you the score because I really want to build up the drama in this one.
Okay.
Okay.
The online poll was a blowout.
Oh.
Okay? But one of these 2 participants came back strong and pulled it out in the end thanks to the boards.
And who does the boards love more than anything else?
The boards love their chimps.
I will tell you this.
It's huge on the Chimp Conference.
The Chimp Conference will not be denied. It's as simple as that. Astronaut Chimp with a newspaper was down 9-5 in the online poll. And I thought, man, it's over. He needs everything to break his way on the boards. And guess what? Everything broke his way on the boards. Of the 7 votes available, Astronaut Chimp with the newspaper got 6 to squeak out at the last second an 11-10 win over the Polar Vortex. And the mighty Chimp Conference for the second year in a row moves on to the Final Four. But this time they have to face the goddamn Batman.
Much like Kentucky in the real NCAA tournament, a buzzer beater.
Yes.
Send him to the Final Four.
Absolutely. The Chimp Conference showing that they have whatever it takes. They got there. But yes, this was...
Well, but this is going to be interesting, though. The Chimp Conference up against the goddamn Batman. And as we saw last season, the Batman defeated the Chimp Conference in the championship game.
Yep.
And now they meet in the semifinal to reach the Glorious Tournament of Victory championship game.
Yes, and I will say that I think whoever wins this matchup wins the whole thing. And The odds out of Vegas right now are the goddamn Batman is the prohibitive favorite at this point.
It's interesting. I think it depends on who comes out of the other side. Because if it's the chimp and it goes up against jumping the shark, have chimpanzees doing strange things jump the shark. If it's the goddamn Batman up against Daniel Day-Lewis, could Daniel Day-Lewis play Batman better than Christian Bale or Ben Affleck?
Well, but could he? This is the thing, though. We're not talking about Batman being played by someone. We're talking about Batman.
Right. Well,
this isn't an interpretation.
Daniel Day-Lewis fool Batman with his acting ability.
Well, we will find out.
We will. Once we get to the matchup next week.
The Final Four in the Glorious Tournament of Victory is set in the one side of the bracket.
The Final Four participants.
The Final Four participants are in the first match. It will be the goddamn Batman, a number 2 seed, taking on number 13 seed Astronaut Chimp with a newspaper. And in the other side of the bracket, Daniel Day-Lewis' acting ability, a number 3 seed, taking on the upstart number 16 seed, the Shark, the Fonz Jump, in the Glorious Tournament of Victory.
Mm-hmm. It will be quite.
And incidentally, the way that we do things in the Sentinel Prime Memorial Region of Excellence, the winner of the winner of the region is guaranteed the first seed in the following year.
Right.
So
of course, we forgot to mention that these, all except the Batman, have clinched spots in next year's.
Yes.
I bring this up because by defeating Iron Man, the Shark the Fonz jumped has jumped itself from number 16. Next year, it will be a number 1 seed.
Well, I just want to say, and I am dead serious about this, when I was counting the votes on the boards, I'm like, Chimp got another vote. Chimp got another vote. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to pull it off.
And cannot deny the chimps.
And I swear to God, as soon as I counted the votes, I went to my girlfriend. You're not going to believe this. She's like, what? I'm like, the chimp pulled it off.
And she looked at you.
She's like, what? I'm like, the chimp, he did it. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, the chimp was down big in the online poll, but he came back on the boards and won.
I just imagine her looking at you like, what are you? The chimp!
But I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh my God, he did it. And she's like, what? I'm like, he did it. He did it. And I'm going, the Chimp Conference won't be denied. I mean, I'm acting like one of my teams just won the Super Bowl or something.
You made the Final Four. Go, Chimp, go.
So anyway, there you go. There are the matchups for the Final Four in the Glorious Tournament of Victory. Any final thoughts before we move on, guys?
I think the Shark, the Fonz jump is going to be tough to beat because he's just so versatile.
Yeah, he's gone a lot further than I thought he would. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Because you could make the argument that anything has jumped the Shark at one point or another.
Yeah.
I will just paraphrase really quick. Moonlight Graham from Field of Dreams. Is there enough magic out there in the whatever the hell it was he said in that movie to carry the Chimp Conference to one more win? That's the question.
Win or lose, though, the goddamn Batman has ensured that his jersey will be retired and lifted to the rafters.
I still think he's the one to beat in this thing. I just don't see, because like you said, on the boards, if there's anybody on the boards that gets more love than the Chimp Conference, it's got to be the Batman. Simple as that.
I also have to think the Batman's motivated. I mean, he knows that this is his last go at the dance, so he wants to go out on top. He wants to be able to retire.
He has the heart of a champion.
He has the heart of a champion, and he wants to be able to retire saying, no one beat me.
Yeah, and this was the closest match he's ever had. Only 3 votes by the win, but there you go. So that's it. The Final Four is in place, and we will begin the voting soon. Let's move on to Zach's tabs. Take it away, Zach.
Let's see. I have a very baseball-y thing for you, Greg.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
From the new website launched by ESPN and Nate Silver, the 538.
Yes.
They do a lot of these things where they're kind of going into deep on numbers and stuff like that. They did a little study by making these formulas and whatever, and there's a lot of garbage to get through before they tell you exactly who the guys that they found were. Anyway, they went and they made all these different ratings, and so they figured that there are in baseball, in Major League Baseball, there are only 4 tried and true 5-tool players.
4?
Okay.
4 100% 5-tool guys. Who do you think they are?
All right, let me see here. I got to think Mike Trout's got to be one of them.
Mike Trout is not 5-tool.
No.
Let
me see if I can guess what the problem is. His throwing arm?
His throwing arm.
Okay. How about Bryce Harper?
Bryce Harper is a 5-tool player.
Okay. Andrew McCutchen?
I'll give you a hint. No, not McCutchen. There's 2 Colorado Rockies.
Troy Tulowitzki?
Uh-huh.
And Carlos Gomez.
Yep. Gonzalez.
Gomez is the Milwaukee Brewer. Sorry.
Yes.
And that's it?
And then there's one more.
Okay. Let me
And
think.
he's basically the Mike Trout of the National League, but by that I mean he's a guy that came in, flash of the pan type of guy, plays in Los Angeles.
Yasiel Puig?
That's what they think.
Really?
Now, but here's the thing. Then they said, well, that doesn't seem right. That there's no Mike Trout, there's no Miguel Cabrera, there's no guys like Adam Jones or Starling Marte, none of those guys.
Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah, Andrew McCutchen, and then there's 2 guys from the Colorado Rockies. That didn't make sense to them. So they went further and they just said, if those are MLB's 5-tool players, there has to be something that said who is the quote unquote toolsiest of those players.
Oh my!
Bryce Harper, easy.
But not in that sense. What they mean is the ones who are most above the mean when considering all 5 tools combined.
Okay.
I really hope that they make a segment out of this on ESPN. Baseball's biggest tool.
I don't think they'll do that. This is a little too in depth for even regular old ESPN. So, Greg, I ask you again: who is the toolsiest of all the Major League Baseball players?
Who is the biggest tool in?
Now, are we talking? Now, let me ask you this: is this player part of the 4 we've already mentioned?
Nope. But you did mention him.
Andrew McCutchen?
No.
Who else did I mention? Bryce Harper.
One young Michael Trout.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
They came up, they rated it, and they combined it to make a score out of 10. And Mike Trout got a 9.1, basically saying that all around, everything considered, the best player in baseball.
Well, I that's the thing, though. I don't know that you need a bunch of numbers to tell you that. I mean,
right, of course
I'm sure
you don't need the numbers.
You can quantify it, like I suppose, or try to anyway. But this is my thing with sabermetrics. Okay, and again, I'm not saying that that's what this is or anything like that. But you have people out there that will not believe what they see right in front of them until the numbers back it up. We talked about this on the baseball show that we think he's one of the best players in the game. Probably the best player in the game, and maybe, granted, it's a small sample size up to this point, but may end up being one of the best of all time. And we didn't use any numbers to come to that conclusion. We watched the guy play. Simple as that.
And so here's the rest of the list. Mike Trout, number 1. Let's see. How do they rate this? Was it out of 3 or out of 5? I don't know. I don't feel like reading through the whole thing.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Because they have this chart and they rank it. But anyway, Mike Trout, Carlos Gonzalez, Bryce Harper, Troy Tulowitzki, Starling Marte, Yasiel Puig, Alex Gordon, Robinson Cano, Evan Longoria, and Manny Machado.
Okay,
those are their top 10.
See, I'm kind of surprised Longoria wasn't in one of the top 4. I would wonder what the knock on him would be.
Let's see.
Batting average,
they have
maybe?
it broken down. Let's see. His average, the lowest thing on here, his speed is low, and his batting average is a little low.
Okay, yeah.
But his power is up, and his arm is up, and his fielding's up. Like Mike Trout, I don't know what these numbers mean, but he's a 2.8 in average, 2.3 in power, 2.1 in speed, but only a 0.2 for his arm.
I wonder if these people realize that baseball is actually comprised of human beings on a field playing a game.
But I know it's sad because baseball, out of all the sports, is the one where you could actually break it down into numbers and probability and stuff more so than any other sport.
Yeah.
Because in everything else, there's an element of things having to work together. Whereas with baseball, it's a pitcher, and you can say he's generally this good, and then you have a hitter, and you can say he's generally this good, and he generally hits it to this direction and this direction, and the fielder out in the field of play, is about this good at fielding the ball or running to it, and then you could kind of quantify it. And baseball, you could run through a computer simulation, and you might get something that's reliable.
Well, I will
compared to football or baseball or basketball or hockey or basketball.
I will say this: of all the numbers people out there, Nate Silver's the guy I trust the most.
Yeah, this wasn't written by him. He is Jeff Sullivan. He's an editor and analyst at Fangraphs.
Okay, Fangraphs is pretty good too.
Fangraphs is very good.
But and again, I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying that they're wrong. But this is my point being that none of us that follow the game needed all these things to tell us Mike Trout's the best player in baseball. You can but it's great that they can back it up. But that's one of my arguments with the Sabre movement is that when you're telling me Ben Zobrist is better than Andrew McCutchen, I have to get off the train at that point.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
it's funny because there's people that are really into this, obviously, like some of these people, and so my reaction when I see some of this stuff is like, oh, neat.
Yeah.
I can't be like, oh wow, yeah, that's interesting. It's like, oh, neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, cool. That's nice, but it doesn't change anything for me.
It's like somebody figured out a way to quantitatively tell me that Mike Trout's the best player in baseball. Okay, great.
Yeah, good. I already knew that, but yeah, it is. I was thinking about this because you were talking about advanced stats in hockey, and I thought, that's going to be a really tough one. I think of all the sports to try to come up with the advanced metrics like that, I got to think hockey would be the hardest one.
I mean,
I think in hockey, the only thing that you could maybe quantify, like with a stat, is goalie play.
Right.
And I think there's some other advanced stats that aren't being pushed as much, but I think a little bit more reliable when it comes to grading a goaltender. But everything else, it's just like the way the puck happens to bounce, and who's on the ice, and what point in the period, and where you take the face off. And
the fact that the Nashville Predator
that goes into it.
The fact that the Nashville Predators can sometimes get into the playoffs by losing in a shootout 20 times a season.
Yeah.
kind of shoots everything, kind of shoots the notion that you can quantify hockey.
Well, that's the thing, though. There are so many variables in hockey, I think more so than any other sport, because just the ice conditions alone can change a multitude of things, I would think.
Right. Well, and I mean, and even it kind of goes to what I was trying to say with the stat, at least regarding the Maple Leafs. Because what the stats kept saying about the Maple Leafs is that the Maple Leafs are a very lucky hockey team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that they score on a high percentage of their shots, and they were getting a ridiculous effort from their goaltending. But I could tell you that, the Maple Leafs, though, they don't put a lot of shots on net, but they're winning games, and and that means that their goaltending's playing very well, and that they're getting timely goals. Mm-hmm. So I can quantify that with real world things, and then these people will just say, "Well, I know you're saying that, but here's a number to back it up in case you wanted to argue that." So it's
but see, by the same token, though, if you say that, and let's say that there aren't the numbers to back it up, they will tell you you're wrong, even though you're sitting there watching it happen right in front of you. And that's my biggest issue with the whole advanced metrics movement.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you see something,
especially more so in baseball than anywhere else.
That's what I mean. But you can see it happening right in front of you. And they will say, well, yeah, but the numbers don't say so, so it can't be true. It's like, but it is true. I'm looking at it. I'm seeing it happen. That's what I don't like about it. But again, hockey would have to be the hardest one, I would think. Probably football after that, then basketball. And like you said, baseball, it's all about the numbers. So
I've seen some of the things that they're doing with basketball, and some of it makes sense in terms of production output and defensive efficiency and crap like that. Some of it makes sense, but I mean, I don't know. I like it. It's to a point, but I think we've said that before, that we all kind of enjoy it to a certain point,
right?
But then it's like, well, just watch the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
stop. I mean, calculator.
Yes. Okay. Back when I was a kid, sports would be one of the things I'd want to get away from my math homework. And now you're bringing the math homework into sports. So
baseball inherently has a lot of numbers because even the baseline things. Well, what his batting average is, and how many home runs and RBIs he hits, and his batting average with runners in scoring position. There's enough stats, situational stats, that I don't need all these extra numbers necessarily. Some of them are fine. WAR, I'm okay with. Just again, up to a certain point, because once you break down the numbers a little too quickly, it's like, okay. Just tell me that he's this much better than the other guy. That's all I need to know.
Well, and there's that one. It's called Ultimate Zone Rating, I think is how they.
The user rating, UZR. Yeah,
and I think it's some sort of defensive stat.
Yeah,
but
defensive baseball is the thing that's probably the hardest thing you could quantify.
Exactly,
because fielding percentage doesn't tell you a whole lot.
No, because let's say there's a lot of things that go into that. You've got the official scorer, who. Yeah. And believe me, I never noticed this as much until I started going to a lot of Indians games in person. And it was amazing to me what homers these official scorers are.
Yeah.
It would be a ball that was so clearly in error, and they would give the Indians player a hit.
Yeah,
and they never.
I've
they would,
even seen that. Because when I've been doing the baseball broadcasts,
Yeah.
I keep my own scorecard.
Yep.
And I'll write something down, and I'll look up at the board, and I'm like, that's not right. Mm-hmm. That's not what I have. But fine.
But with the ultimate zone rating thing, you're not taking into account things like wind, conditions, lighting. There's a whole lot that you can't quantify.
Yeah.
So, but hey, if they have fun with it, that's great. But like I said on the baseball show, when you get to the point where you're not even watching the game anymore, you're just reading, printouts afterwards, then you've lost something in the process. That's what I think.
So that's that.
Okay, what's next on the tabs?
Let's see. Those are hockey power rankings.
What do you guys think, really quick, about the whole Kentucky thing with basketball?
What
Have you
about
heard about this?
This actually gets me
New.
on the tabs.
I haven't heard anything about this.
Just that they, their whole program now is just basically to go out and get the 5 best guys they can get, keep them for a year, and then move along and do it again next year.
But you know what? Somebody was going to do it.
Yeah.
And, if that's what Kentucky wants to be, I mean, despite their, a college basketball powerhouse with a lot of history, somebody's going to do it. There's a lot of these kids that only want to go there for the 1 year. And if you can get all of them and get the 5 best players every year and say, hey, keep going on. But, I mean, the thing with this Kentucky team is they weren't, of all the teams that they've done this with, this wasn't even a very good one.
Right.
Really? Because they were, an 8 seed? And they hit 3 buzzer beaters in the tournament.
Yeah.
To eventually
lost.
get to the championship game. And then did you watch the championship game?
I watched some of it.
Did you see the end? When UConn had the ball with 45 seconds.
Yes.
Just stood there.
That was
hold on to it for 30 seconds.
Some of the worst coaching I've ever seen.
Yeah, they waited until there was 20 seconds left before they decided to foul.
Right.
And when they fouled, there was a guy that was wide open under the basket who put it up.
Yep.
Jesus.
But I just want to say this: if their strategy is to go out and get the 5 best guys they can, doesn't that really, more than anything else, just shoot down the notion that these are student athletes?
But
but they got to take classes while they're there, Mike.
But see, that's what I was going to say.
Do they really?
That's what I was going to.
Really?
No, not really. No, because really, all they've got to do is stay eligible for basketball season, and that's it.
Do I need to pull out that riveting recollection of Rosa Parks' struggle?
But what I was going to say about it is that these are the rules. Everyone complained because you had too many players going straight from high school to the NBA. So the NBA tries to institute a rule and say, okay, we're going to try to fix this. Well, these are the rules that you've made. So if you don't like the way that Kentucky is playing by the rules as you defined them, I've got no problem with that. Mm-hmm. Are they student athletes? Absolutely not. But again, have they ever been? Would be the question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying they're wrong because of the whole student athlete thing. Because it's like you said, they're playing within the rules that have been set up. There's nothing illegal there. There's nothing shady being done. I'm just saying that if a program's going to be that blatant about it, then it really does kill the entire notion of the student athlete dead.
Yeah, but
so kind of this ties into the University of Kentucky and with our kind of dumb fans thing earlier.
Dumb fans in Kentucky.
This guy.
Oh, is this the tattoo guy?
This is the tattoo guy.
Okay.
Got a tattoo on his calf that says 2014 National, and with the O being a 9 because it would have been Kentucky's 9th championship. National champions with the UK logo under it. And of course, Kentucky did not win. They do not have 9 national championships, and they're definitely not the 2014 national champion.
No, but he came close because he had this tattoo for a while. And yeah. I'm watching, and sadly, I thought about something like, if they win, that guy with the tattoo is not going to look like an idiot. But guess what? They didn't, and he does.
No, I mean, there was a guy that got a Seahawks World Championship tattoo the week of the Super Bowl.
Right.
But there was also a guy that got the Broncos version of it. And, I'm sure he immediately regretted that decision.
No. He didn't even – it wasn't even one where he – by the end of the first quarter, he knew that was...
Would you guys ever get a tattoo of one of your teams?
No. No, I
only
wouldn't.
because if I was like a Maple Leaf fan, I think I could because I would solidly believe that the Maple Leafs wouldn't exactly change their logo anytime soon.
Yeah.
But the Ducks would change their logo, and I don't. The other thing, the thing that I always think about is, so what happens if, like, because I wouldn't get a tattoo like where you could see it all the time. I'd probably get it like on a back shoulder blade or something.
Right.
So what happens if, say, you're dating some girl, right? And you go out a couple dates, you like each other, and then you eventually get to a situation where your shirt is off, and she's like, "Is that a tattoo of the Ducks logo?"
Is that a hockey mask shaped like a duck's face?
Yeah, or it's like, but I thought about it. I'm like, well, I can't just put one. I have to put all of them. So I guess I have to put an Angel A. Maybe I'd put a Lakers L with a basketball. And then you get to a point where it's like, you really like sports, don't you? Yeah, I love sports.
I just wondered because a lot of people do this, and
I know.
I would never. Well, I don't have a tattoo to begin with. I'm not against the idea. I just don't think I can handle the pain of it. But
that's my big thing. I just couldn't deal with the pain.
But never in my life would I ever put one of my teams, even Ohio State, where I went to school and everything else. I wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to think about people that do this. I think that's. I think
especially because it's essentially putting like a corporate brand logo on your
right.
On your body.
It's like, I like Coca-Cola, but I would never even consider getting the Coca-Cola logo tattooed.
Yeah.
Right. Like, the only thing that I think I've ever truly considered, like, seriously, was putting, like, my family coat of arms or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It's a lion. It's got these two crescent moon things. It's pretty neat.
It's a lion.
Well, yeah,
See,
and it's like that's my family. That's something I'm very proud of. It's prideful. It's my Irish like clan thing. Cool, but a sports team, like I like sports, but not to a point where
not that much.
Like my family is obviously like an actual part of me. Sports,
yeah.
I can say that they're a part of me, but like if all the stadiums in the world burned down tomorrow for whatever reason, would I be sad? Yeah, but I'd get over it eventually.
See, I had considered getting a tattoo a couple years ago, and I thought, okay, I would do a baseball, but just a baseball, not
just a baseball,
no teams, no anything, because I'm thinking, well, what would I get? What's something that I would like, and I thought, well, maybe a baseball. I mean, it was kind of like, well, maybe a baseball, I guess, but I would never.
Who's your favorite team? I just like baseball.
Well, that's that's actually true about me. So
yeah,
but
like I've always just thought, I always thought of tattoos, if you're going to get them, I don't like getting them just for the sake of getting them. Mm. I'm always of the mind that they have to have some sort of personal meaning to you, because it's something pretty permanent.
Yeah, that's another thing why I could never get a tattoo, because, it's permanent, so I would constantly be second-guessing, like, oh, I'm sure I want this thing today, but will I want this thing in, like, a year? And then,
Well, my niece's mom, she was about 20, 21 years old, I guess, and she got the sleeves, the whole bit, the tattoos, the whole thing. It's both arms and all over herself. And I thought, okay, this is great when you're 21, I suppose, if you think it's great. But where are you going to be when you're 35 and have to go to a PTA meeting or something? What are people going to think? And that's something. Again, I'm not saying you should judge someone because they have tattoos, but people are going to. That's just the reality of it. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing you got to think about. And these are tattoos you cannot hide. They're there to be seen, and unless she wears long sleeves the rest of her life, you're going to see them. But I don't know.
That's why I would get one, like, if I were, it'd be, like, on the back shoulder. So I could wear a T-shirt. Or I could even wear, like, a tank top and cover it up if I needed to.
But, yeah, I was, then I saw this guy, the Kentucky guy's tattoo, and I thought, well, maybe he had it done in a way that he could have it go over it and it wouldn't be there anymore. But it looks to me like he's pretty much stuck with this thing.
You could probably get it removed.
If you look at the guy, he has a lot of tattoos. I don't think he cares. Did you not scroll down?
Oh,
yeah, scroll down. You'll see him.
Okay. Well, so this one's not. This is going to get lost in the crowd anyway, isn't it?
Well, but this one's on his leg. He has a lot of tattoos on his arm, I guess.
Yeah. No one's even going to notice that when they're going to be looking at his arms.
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
But hey, and he got free tickets to the national championship game out of it, so good for him.
Hope it was worth it.
Yeah.
So what's next in the tabs?
Let's see. I had something. Oh, we talked about last week. David Letterman's retiring.
Yeah.
Today they announced his replacement.
Really?
Complete shock to me.
Was it Stephen Colbert?
Stephen Colbert.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did not see this coming.
I don't know if it's funny because on the show he's Stephen Colbert, but his actual name is Stephen Colbert. So I wonder if he'll go to I don't think he'll go on the new late night show as his character Stephen Colbert. I'm sure he'll do bits as.
That was my first question. Is he going to carry the character over to the show?
I don't think so.
Well,
okay,
you couldn't.
Well, then here's the thing. Okay, if you're not going to do the character, what makes him interesting then? What makes him better than say Conan O'Brien?
He's actually a funny guy. He's very personable.
Right.
Like if you see him in interviews where he's just playing himself, not playing, where he's actually just himself.
Right.
You could tell he's actually personable and funny on his own right.
Okay.
Right. And even in his interviews on the Colbert Report, you can tell when he's interviewing people, he can't keep up the shtick the entire time when he's actually talking to a real person.
Yeah.
When he's not like trying to pursue a bit, like when he's doing interviews, you see him kind of break character a little bit, especially with somebody that he really likes. Like I saw an interview he did recently with not Walter White. Sorry, Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston. I'm sorry. Every time I see him, it's all
that would be great if it was Stephen Colbert the character interviewing Walter White the character.
That would be awesome. But he was just like a real person, like having a conversation with him. Mm-hmm. And I mean, generally, from what I understand, everyone that meets him generally likes him, and he's funny. Like I've seen him being interviewed, like on Jimmy Fallon and stuff like that, as himself, not as the character. And I think he does a pretty good job.
Okay, because I mean, I don't follow him that closely, so I just think of him as that character. But if he's a guy that can pull it off, then maybe it's a good choice.
Now, I don't think that there's any way that he doesn't bring that sort of shtick over. Right. And like do a bit where he comes out as Stephen Colbert.
Now I haven't actually watched the Colbert Report in years. Is he still covering OHL hockey?
I don't know.
Because the Saginaw Spirit, a team in the OHL, but they play in Saginaw, Michigan. Obviously, their logo, because they play in a mostly Canadian league, it's like an American bald eagle, and it's got like the flag behind it. Well, they introduced a mascot that was a bald eagle, and they called it Stephen Colbeagle the Eagle. And so they named after Stephen Colbert. So for like a full year after that happened, Stephen Colbert was actually devoting like portions of his show to going over the OHL standings.
Hey,
right.
And it's
that
was
probably a thing at the time, because I know in 2010, leading up to the Vancouver Olympics, he sponsored the speed skating team.
Yeah.
And so every time something happened with the U.S. speed skating team, he said something about it.
The best part is that the character of Stephen Colbert is terrified of bears.
Right.
So when the Saginaw Spirit played the Oshawa Generals, the Oshawa Generals fans threw teddy bears on the ice. So Stephen Colbert went on, and he's like, next time. And the Oshawa Generals are sponsored by General Motors. Mm-hmm. And this was around the time when General Motors was going under. So he was saying, so next time when the Oshawa Generals come to play the Saginaw Spirit in Saginaw, I want all of you Saginaw fans to start throwing a printout of GM's financial report on the ice.
Not bad. What are they called now? The Saginaw what?
Spirit.
Oh, man, they used to be the Saginaw Gears back in the old days. In the old IHL, the old Iron League.
That's a different league. OHL is junior hockey.
I know, but what am I talking about?
Yeah.
But there's no more Saginaw Gears in the IHL, right?
Well, I mean, you know how many minor league teams have come and gone.
Yeah, but
despite having good followings.
They could have brought back the Gears.
Somebody could bring back the Macon Whoopee, too. But,
let's
they're
not.
not going to do that.
Let's not.
I mean, they probably could have, but I think the whole point was like because they're one of like the only American teams in a mostly Canadian league, they went super, America.
Yeah.
Well, the Colbert, I guess, you know what, though? You think about it, you think it through a little bit more with the whole David Letterman thing, and Conan O'Brien was kind of retreading ground they'd already been on, sort of. So maybe it made sense to us, but...
I mean, they also want to get a younger demographic, and Stephen Colbert definitely brings that. So
Right, and if you look at the guys that are being successful in late night now, Kimmel and Fallon, the way that they're doing well with the young audience, because the young audience doesn't watch them on TV, they get them with the bits that they get to go viral on the internet, on YouTube, and Stephen Colbert does that pretty well. So I think he'll be okay.
It's just wow that the entire late night TV landscape sure changed quickly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be interesting to see what Comedy Central does to replace the Colbert Report.
I thought that they were going to – I thought that the logical thing would just be to give John Oliver a show.
Apparently, John Oliver is picked up by someone else.
Right. He's doing something with HBO.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Jon Stewart goes a full hour. Who knows?
Yeah, I always kind of thought Jon Stewart could go a full hour, but
yeah, and it's somebody was like, well, how could they skip over Jon Stewart and go to Stephen Colbert? I think Jon Stewart just likes the job he has.
Yeah,
I don't think Jon Stewart would be too thrilled to just do the whole full-time late night thing.
Yeah, no, Jon Stewart likes to do a lot of other things in addition to The Daily Show, and so yeah, I think he likes where he is.
Yeah.
Honestly, given his ratings and given his popularity, I think if Jon Stewart wanted to be on another network on a major late night show, he could probably get it.
Plus, he's kind of old by comparison when you think of all the other guys, because Jon Stewart's been around a long time.
Yeah. And
wasn't he on MTV for the longest time?
He was for a little while. But, you know, he has a good gig. Daily Show's a good – everyone loves The Daily Show.
Yep.
It serves its exact purpose.
And I would almost be willing to bet that he's probably got way more control over The Daily Show than he'd ever have over a show that he did on CBS.
Sure.
So, yeah, I don't blame him. And these days, that being on a network, it's not the big deal it used to be. It's just not anymore.
It'll definitely be interesting to see what happens when he takes over.
Of course, all of this is going to change in 4 months when Jay Leno comes back.
Oh man!
Don't think Jay will be coming back. I'm
not gonna be convinced that he's gone until he's actually dead. And I know they physically can't put him on TV anymore.
All right. So what's next?
Oh, I guess I lost this tab in the shuffle. I should have brought this up a little while ago. So did you see what the Turner Sports Network of the family of networks did during the Final Four games, not the championship game, where they had the specific team cast?
I heard about it. I did not see any of them.
On TNT and True TV.
I heard that a lot of people flipped out, though, because they were being so biased.
That's what I was going to bring up, because fans are dumb. Because what they did to be a little interesting, they did...
How dare you be innovative, Turner Network
television?
Well,
what they did was so the Final Four games were on TBS. And so... I think trying mostly to combat what ESPN did with the national championship game in football, the mega cast. What they did is on TNT and True TV, they put broadcasters that were specific basically to one team or the other. So they made a team of former Kentucky Wildcats and a team of former Badgers.
Oh, they didn't use their actual broadcast teams that would their normal home team or home network team or people or whatever?
No. I wish I had the list.
Wow.
It was on Awful Announcing, but I just don't have it in front of me. But for the Kentucky games, they got Rex Chapman to be color analyst. For Wisconsin, they got a former Wisconsin player, and then the radio guy for the Green Bay Packers. And for UConn, Danielle Marshall was the color guy. And then a UConn grad was the play-by-play. Anyway, so those were they did that to be team specific in case you were a UConn fan or whoever, you wanted to watch your specific thing. But to people just scrolling through the TV guide and not knowing what actual channel the real game was,
right?
They see that the Final Four is on. Let me watch this. Mm-hmm. So despite clicking on the game and having a big graphic in the top right corner of the screen that says Wisconsin team cast or Kentucky team cast, or noticing that, hey, they're talking a lot about the other team. I wonder if this is a homer broadcast. No, they thought that this was the actual broadcast of the game, the main broadcast.
That was being horribly biased. Yeah.
That was being horribly biased and blamed TNT. And they're could TNT be any more biased towards Florida? TNT is being way biased, clearly.
I would like to step in at this point. Any of you that were listening and got mad at us earlier for saying that we are among the elite and fans and that fans aren't as dumb as we said they were, you might want to reconsider that after this, because they all flipped out. and thought that it was. God, how can people be so stupid?
Here's one. Was watching TNT, now changed to True TV. What a biased channel. So they realized that there were multiple broadcasts. So they went from one extremely biased broadcast to another extremely biased broadcast.
But you can't grasp the concept that, okay, if it's on more than one channel, there might be a slight chance that they're doing this. No, oh my God.
Well, it's funny because it was for the UConn game, so it's like somebody's like, oh, they're really bashing on UConn. I'm going to change the other channel. Hey, they're talking really nice about Florida on this channel. I'm going to watch this one. Like, oh my, like people just think that if somebody's criticizing if somebody's being for your team, they're unbiased.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
That's what I mean. God, how it's just it's. I
think
don't know.
at least ESPN, they put it on ESPN3, so it wasn't like readily available to people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know they were doing this till the day of, and I was like, oh, well, that's. I mean, I understand if they were going to offer it like online, but I didn't realize they were actually going to put it on the actual like TV station.
See, that's the thing. ESPN,
and that's why it probably screwed people up.
ESPN's smart. They knew what would happen if they put it on where everyone could have access to it.
Right. They put it in a place where people would have to search for it if they wanted it.
Right.
Not just if you're stumbling across the channels like, oh. Well, because I'm thinking about my TV guide. TBS, the actual station that the games were on, is channel 27. TNT is channel 18. So if I'm scrolling from the bottom to the top like somebody would normally do, I'm going to hit TNT first, and I'm going to turn it on and be like, why are they talking so much about Wisconsin? Somebody needs to tell them that Kentucky's in this game too.
And then you write an angry letter to Ted Turner.
Yeah, and Ted Turner goes, thanks for your money.
But the sad thing is that these people, I'm still sure that even to this day, they don't realize that it was just them being stupid.
Right. Well, and see, that's the other thing is like people will complain about it, but they're also not the type of people that read sites like Deadspin or any of these really specific sports sites. So they'll never know.
Right.
Because they won't. They'll just assume, oh, well, that was the game.
Remember those dumb sports fans you were talking about earlier that, like, you talk to them? They will, in 5 years, will be like, man, I remember when UConn was in the national champion or in the Final Four, and you would not believe how biased those announcers were. I don't even remember who UConn played, but whatever. And for 5 years from now, they'll be talking about it because they're just too stupid to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are stupid. Stupid.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
Well, they are.
And I don't think Jim Nantz said this one. I think it was the UConn radio people. But as is tradition, when it comes to the national championship game, people take the time to script out what they're going to say. So UConn wins, and I think it was their radio guy said, UConn goes from underdog to top dog because, they're
the Huskies.
Ah, witty.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well.
He probably spent all night thinking that one up. What am I going to say if they win? Oh, I know. Their logo's a dog.
Well, Jim Nantz said something similar when UConn beat Butler. Mm-hmm. It was Huskies versus Bulldogs, and it was Connecticut's the top dog. I'm sure if Butler won, he would have said Butler is the top dog. Easily interchangeable, very versatile. But of course, now Jim Nantz gets to go from scripting out his championship things to the Masters. Tradition, unlike any other.
Real quick, tonight was the night Kiss got inducted into the Hall of Fame, guys.
Oh, yeah. Also,
the official band of basically a sports show, Kiss, is now in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right, and I
was not consulted on this.
I forgot to talk to you guys about this. You know what happened on Saturday, right?
Home opener of the LA Kiss.
The home opener of your LA Kiss.
Who they play?
The Portland Thunder.
Who won?
The LA Kiss. Woo! Yeah, they. One of my friends decided to buy season tickets. If I had known she was buying season tickets, I would have also bought a ticket. But I didn't know that, so I have no tickets. I might go.
I don't think they'll be hard to come by.
You know what? The cheapest ticket in the place was $21.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, it's not as cheap as I want it to be. Considering season tickets are $99,
yeah,
but a single game ticket's $21, so I don't get it. But anyway,
that's how Gene Simmons makes the big bucks,
right? So they had all the festivities, everything that you would expect from Kiss, pyrotechnics, the gray field, the uniforms. Let's see, what else did they have?
How was the gray field? Did it make it difficult to watch?
I didn't actually watch it. I just saw pictures. I don't know. It's just odd because it's for Arena Field. You at least want it to be. I don't know what's a normal Arena Field color, like black. I think black would have worked better because originally the concept was that it was going to be black. I think that would have worked better than the gray. To be perfectly honest, because the gray just looked dirty. If anything, or it looked like a snow game, but instead of snow it was ash. That makes sense.
We're playing a game after the what do they call it after the volcano erupted?
After
the Yellowstone volcano.
Oh God. Yeah, everyone, the buffalo are running into the park. It's the super volcano.
Yeah.
But they had all the pyrotechnics. Whenever there was a timeout, they would drag these big ramps onto the field and do BMX tricks. They would have people on ramps that were painted like Gene Simmons with a long tongue down the ramp, of course.
So they were going down Gene Simmons' tongue.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Let's see. Suspended above the four corners of the field, they had these little cages with go-go dancers in them.
Say what you want about Gene Simmons. The man knows pageantry.
I was just going to say, now, KISS is a classy outfit. They know how to do things first class all the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a family-friendly environment, of course.
Right.
See, Lemmy from Motorhead did the coin toss. They set a single-game AFL record for merchandise sales.
If anyone could do it, be KISS.
Right. 12,000 plus people showed up.
That's not bad, actually.
The Honda Center holds 17,000 for a hockey game, and it's the same configuration.
I mean, that's not bad considering it's arena football.
Yeah, 12,000. A lot of fireworks and stuff, and yeah, LA KISS.
Well, and then a football game was played.
Yeah, and the KISS set a single game sacks record.
Did they win?
Yeah, they won. They're actually 2-1 on the season.
Hey, look at them go, man. It's those helmets.
Well, the helmets are only for home games, and this was the first home game. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, one of the players they got interviewed after the game, of course, for the paper because all the media came out for at least the first game, and somebody asked one of the guys like, "Hey, what do you think about all the pageantry about the football game?" He's like, "I don't like it. I just want to play football, man. All this stuff is stupid."
And then Gene Simmons was like, "Trade that man."
Well, no, you got to remember, Mike.
Apparently, he was the wide receiver that scored 3 touchdowns. So
yeah, and Paul Stanley's part of this deal too. It's not all Gene.
Yeah,
just want to point that out.
You know what? Gene isn't the spokesman. Gene's there, sure, but the guy who's doing most of the talking and all the interviews that I've seen so far is Paul Stanley.
Yeah,
Gene Simmons is kind of like, I'm part of KISS, so I'm here.
Paul has always been the brains behind KISS for whatever that's worth. I mean, Gene he's got the reputation and all that, but Paul Stanley's been the guy that has guided that ship, right, wrong, or indifferent, all through these years. So, and it's about damn time. They're finally in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tonight, and sure. I'm reading about it, and so far, it looks like it's just as typically KISS as it could possibly be. Paul Stanley got up there and took a shot at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, saying, here we are, basically inducted for the same things we were kept out for.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is kind of a joke.
Kind of?
Right. What is rock and roll?
Well,
is it Madonna?
that's the thing, right out of the gate. And
I love the Beastie Boys, but rock and roll?
Here's the thing. When your first nominating class does not include the Beatles for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right out of the gate, you've got problems.
Is Metallica in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Who?
Metallica?
Yeah, they're in.
Is Nirvana in it?
Yep, they went in with this class with KISS. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
But
only 20 years after Kurt died, but sure.
I'll provide some controversy here. Beatles, Nirvana, in my opinion, both overrated.
Whoa.
Yeah, I dropped it. And I'm not picking it up. Wow. I'm leaving it there.
Well, fine. That's your opinion, wrong as it might be. I agree with you on Nirvana, but not with the Beatles. I'm sorry. But anyway. We got anything else, guys, or are we about done here?
I don't know. Do you want to talk about the Sports Illustrated thing?
Nah, we'll save it for next week.
All right.
I don't feel like getting into a big anti-Boston rant tonight. So
I mean,
I'm always good for an anti-Boston rant. Like, yeah. I could go like 2 more hours just anti-Boston.
I had a video that I wanted to show you, Greg, but I guess I accidentally deleted it.
Oh well.
It was this street magician doing like how they do like the little sleight of hand tricks with like marbles and stuff,
right?
Or coins. Well, they did it. They took some various breeds of dogs, and they had a treat, and he did a sleight of hand trick and hid the treat, and so the dogs they see the treat, and then the treat disappears, and like, where the fuck's the treat? Like, and like some of the dogs look back at the camera like, seriously, what is this guy doing? Where'd it go? It was there. I saw it.
See, cats would just look at him and go, you know what, screw you, and walk away.
Yeah, cat would just kind of sit there, kind of flick its tail like,
whatever. Yeah.
You no longer amuse me, and then he just walk away.
Let's wrap this bad boy up, and
Greg's so eager. Once we say that we're done, Greg's so eager to just put the kibosh on it.
Because I know this will go on for another 45 minutes if I don't.
Come on.
With that, follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Send us an email. We'll get to it eventually.
There's a bloody nose in this women's soccer game that is now on my TV.
Okay, now we've hit soccer. Now it's really time to go.
I don't know. It came on after the hockey game. There's a women's soccer international friendly, USA and China.
And
one of the girls has a bloody nose.
And that means Greg's looking for the exits. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Send us an email at basicallyasportshow@gmail.com. Go to the website, basicallyasportshow.com. And with that, we are going to call it a night.
Yeah, by the way, the U.S. soccer's home white jerseys, nice. We look like we're playing in Wimbledon. These are dumb.
Yes, because, we won't even get into the rest of why that's dumb. But anyway, any final thoughts, guys?
Go Ducks, the playoffs.
Go Blue Jackets.
Go anyone who's not Detroit or San Jose.
I think that's doable. I think that's fine.
Anyone besides
so you'd be okay with Boston winning?
Or Boston, no, fuck them.
Or Montreal?
Okay, there's a rivalry with Montreal, but I'd almost be okay with it just to bring the cup back to Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
If the Coyotes make it, you'll be okay with them?
They're not going to make it.
Yeah, they could shut by Nashville tonight. They're not going to make it.
They're not going to make it because there's a loving God in this universe. And he won't
That loving God also gave Mike Smith a gold medal, if you remember.
For playing exactly as much hockey as I did.
I know. Okay.
All right. We're going to call it a night. We'll see you all next time.
See you guys.
See ya.